Go ahead.
Welcome to Look Around Florida. Sean will be up next.
Hi, gentlemen and ladies. Welcome to Look Around Florida. I'm your host, Sean McFall. Let me get the disclaimer out of the way so I don't get a phone call going, why did you say that? so, we got a great guest. She's behind the scenes right now, Dottie Meadows. She's the president of the Tennessee Division OCR. Uh, she, she, Coming on, we're going to be talking about C.E.R.T. C.E.R.T is Confederate Emergency Response Team, the proper no harm way of cleaning headstones and monuments. It was her late husband's, Tom Meadows, brainchild. So I know some of you will be joining us as soon as you get a chance. So let's bring Dottie in. Hey, Dottie, how you
Hi,
doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Just another fun day.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Linda. Welcome. Hey, Linda and Roy. So, how did you and Tom come up and Billy Walker come up with the CERT program?
Well, we there was a friend of ours called BJ Dawson, and BJ knew how to clean stones. He knew the correct method and all of that. So, a couple of years ago, we wanted to clean Beech Grove Cemetery. So a bunch of us got together: Billy Walker, Katie, me, Tom, BJ. There was Clarence Farmer, Commander Patterson. We all got together at Beech Grove, and we wanted BJ to teach us how to preserve and clean these stones. So we spent the whole day. There was like 50 or 60 stones, at Beech Grove Cemetery. And we spent the whole day. He taught us from the very beginning, did a video, all of that. He taught us how to clean the stones. Well, previously, that our monuments were being attacked. And a lot of people were going in and they didn't really know how to clean a monument. They were going in with these high powered pressure washers. They were going in with bleach. They were going and doing all that stuff. So here we are at Beech Grove. And so Tom is cleaning with them. And afterwards, we're on our way home, and my husband was the chief of the fire department in Ocean Pines, Maryland, and he was the chief for like 6 years, and he spent 20 years fighting fire. And so he's sitting there, he's talking to me. He was so excited about getting Beech Grove cleaned up, and he said, "You know what? I've got an idea." And I said, "Well, what's your idea, honey?" He said, "We need to come up with a program kind of like the fire department." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well," he said, "the fire department has SOG, has a standard operating guide." And he said, "Wouldn't it be cool if we could come up with a way to clean these stones and have everyone on board and do this and come up with a program so that when our monuments get attacked or when we go into a cemetery, everybody is doing the same thing?" And I was like, "Tom, that's a really good idea." So he calls his commander, Joey Nolan, and he said, "I got this good idea." And he tells Joey about it. And so Joey was like, "Well, come up with the guidelines, Tom." And he says, "We'll talk about it." So we get home, and Tom's like, "We got to do this, we got to do that." And I'm typing up all this stuff, these procedures. And so he come up with Confederate Emergency Response Team. And he was like, "So what we can do is when our monuments get attacked, we bring in teams. They know exactly what to do. We go in, we clean them. We never post, the destroyed monument. We go in, we clean those monuments, and then we back out and we post, look at our monuments. Look how beautiful. We went and, cleaned our monuments." And so,
Oh, Dottie, you there? Or did I lose you?
oh, I'm here. So it
Okay.
does give them the satisfaction that they want, because that's why they destroy him, because they want the attention, you know. And so he came up with the idea. He approached Joey about it. He was talking to Billy Walker about it, and Katie, and he it he created the program. And he was like, and so if we, if we start teaching these people the correct way, preserve, protect, and do no harm, he was like, then we will, have this program, and everybody can do it. Once you learn how to clean, how to go in. um he actually wanted teams like East Tennessee, West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, where they would have the product. Someone would call and say, hey, the monument at Nashville was hit. You go in, you clean it, you come out, and and the team has the product. There's no waiting, none of that. And you've got, your clean monuments. Well, then he came up with the fact, you know, if we do the cemeteries, then how can you ask someone, how can you be upset with people destroying our monuments when we're not even taking care of them ourselves? We're not cleaning them, we're not keeping our cemeteries clean, or any of that. And so he just had a huge passion, and it started in the car. It literally started in the car after cleaning Beech Grove Cemetery, and Billy got on board. And they were the founders of it. BJ, he taught us how to do it, and then Tom just went with it, and he was just so passionate about that program. And if he had lived, I'm telling you, we'd have been all over the country, teaching. I mean, because
This
he
is
was,
true.
I mean, when we went to Louisiana, he was just, everybody was coming up to him saying, we're doing this, we're doing that. When he got really, really sick, and he had his heart attack, he was supposed to be going, 2 weeks later to Florida. And we got Wayne Moon to teach that program. He was Tom made him the director or whatever in West Tennessee. So we got him to go and teach that program in Florida, because Tom was out of the hospital, and 4 days later he's supposed to go, and Tom was going to go. I was like, you can't, honey. You have 10% heart function. You can't go to Florida. But he was determined. I mean, he was determined to get this program going.
Yeah, and I really, when I was taught it, I really ran with it. I pretty much, when there's a Confederate soldier, I've pretty much touched that cemetery, either with the permission from the cemetery or permission from the descendants.
Right. And Tom was real big on that, do it the proper way. I mean, we went down to Beauvoir. We taught class in Beauvoir. We, everywhere that we went, Tom was like, get permission first. Always get permission, because you don't want to go in there and clean something and the family say they didn't have permission and then sue us, or and
Yeah,
that's defeating the purpose. And 90% of the time, there has been actual cities who have uh said, this is wonderful, come clean our city cemetery,
yeah,
and they bought the product to clean it with, you know I mean, and it brings communities together, and they see us in a different light, because we're literally honoring our ancestors, and we're preserving their memories, you know
yeah. Now, I know this answer, but what products is involved?
well, basically it's D2, a biological solution, and it's Orvis, and lots of water. You basically take a stone. You never, ever, ever work on a dry stone, because you can destroy that stone, you can scratch it, you can harm it. And we want our ancestors, we want our descendants to see these stones. We want, our grandkids and our great great grandchildren,
Yeah,
just like we are. We want them to see, and to be able to touch these stones, because our soldiers mean, the world to us. They fought for a purpose. And
Right.
so it's preserve, protect, and do no harm. Um, but the D2, well, what you do is you go in and you get permission first. Absolutely get permission.
Yeah.
And then when you're cleaning the stone, you make sure that it's wet. You have to have lots of water in order to clean a stone. So you spray this stone down, and then you take a soft bristle brush. Well, you take a scraper first and a plastic that's very soft. And, after you've tested the stone, you can use your hand or whatever. And if you find grit on that stone, you just need to kind of leave that alone, put D2 on it and leave that alone, because you don't want to destroy that stone any more than, what it already is.
Yeah.
But then, you use a scraper, you rinse that off, and then you take a soft bristle brush with a little bit of D2. We still have the same gallon of D2 that we started with. I still have that. And I have cleaned hundreds of stones. I mean, it just takes a little bit. You put it on there because if you use a lot, you're going to be rinsing a lot. You can actually stain the stones. So you don't use a whole lot. And then you just, in a circular motion, you just, softly, gently clean the stones. And you would be amazed at what Orvis is what I'm talking about. You use the Orvis, you'd be amazed at what this Orvis will clean off of the stone. And so you do that a couple times. You rinse, 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 rinse. Don't ever use a high powered uh pressure washer. You use just a sprayer, something that's going to be gentle, because these stones are 150, 200 years old. You don't want to destroy these stones. They're 150 years old. I guess it's 160 probably, some of them. So you rinse it off, and then sometimes you have to scrub a little bit, to get the tar and, other things off. But once it dries, you just gently, lightly spray the stone with this D2 solution. It's going to turn orange. You're going to think you've destroyed this stone. You're like, wait a minute, what happened?
Oh,
But
yeah.
that biological is literally eating away all the plant matter and stuff. And so you leave it alone. In a couple weeks, you come back and you've got a beautiful white stone. It's coming back to its original state. I mean, some of these stones you can't bring back to its original state, but you'd be amazed at what you can do. And a lot of times once you clean them, you can actually read them,
Yeah.
and you can see that there's like intricate, things in the stones that you would not necessarily see from the beginning. So
Yeah.
Orvis and D2 are really the two main products that you use.
Hey, Dottie, the part I like about cleaning stones is the artwork that I seen that goes on those stones.
Absolutely.
Heaven's Gates, Baby
Right.
Lamb.
It's beautiful, and you don't even realize it's there. But I'll tell you, when people destroy like monuments and stuff, and they go in with paint and
Yeah,
stuff, we use shadow max, not shadow max, but we use elephant snot.
correct.
You can go in and use the elephant snot, and then if there is a shadow left on, you use the shadow max on it. So Shadow Max and Elephant Snot is two other products that you really need in case there's graffiti or anything like that. And you can just go in and clean that up and back out, take pictures and say, look how beautiful, monuments are, and don't give them any kind of glory,
Exactly.
and
Well, I want to give a couple of shout outs. Rich Garcia, thank you for joining the chat. Dottie, he says hi, by the way. Kim Hoffecker, hey, buddy. He also says hi, Dottie. And
hi.
Victor Smith.
Hi, Vic.
Thank you all for joining the chat tonight.
You.
Well, you said you've been you and Tom have pretty much been all over Tennessee promoting this, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. We went to
Other than Louisiana, what other places have you guys hit?
Well, Wayne Moon, of course, went to Florida
Yeah.
because Tom was sick. I taught a class this past year for the Virginia flaggers, I went to Virginia and I taught the class. I've been to Maryland and taught a class. I've been to West Virginia and taught a class. Um, I've also taught, I've been asked by the Virginia Division of Order of Confederate Rose to come and teach a class this spring.
Cool.
Um, and I think Texas Billy. I think Billy Walker is going to go to Texas. Um, he's got several Virginia, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina um, areas that he's going to go and teach classes to.
Yeah,
Also, and then there's a guy, and I can't think of his name, in South Carolina that wants me to come down and teach a class. So 8 hours, and then you can teach the class because then you know exactly what
exactly.
you're doing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm looking forward to. The Charleston reunion is where my Confederate ancestors are buried at in Anderson, South Carolina. I'm bringing my stuff with me, and I'm gonna let that camp commander know, hey, I'm going to be in town. I'm going to be cleaning my ancestors' grave. You want to come and join me and learn?
right. And that'd be awesome because, National Reunion, when everybody is there, it would be great if a couple of people could go and get permission in a couple of those cemeteries and
Yeah,
each, I had almost 40 people in Virginia that, I could have actually taught two classes. It was so big, you know,
that's
and
good.
yep, and there were some Confederate ancestors on the property, and we went over and we cleaned those graves, and those graves look wonderful. You know,
Cool.
yeah. So it's such a good program, and it's a humbling program, and it's what better way to honor your ancestors than to keep their memories alive and to keep those cemeteries and monuments clean.
Has there been any talks with our commander in chief to bring it on at the national level?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that Jason is on board. I know that Jason loves he loved Tom, and he liked the CERT program. He liked what it was about. So
Yeah,
not exactly sure if, but I know that they had talked to Tom before he passed away. Tom just died suddenly, in his chair,
yeah.
um August 1st, 2019. But I'm sorry, 2020. I get it, 2020.
That's
But
all right.
anyway, he had talked, and they had talked about going national. I think it actually is a national program now. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Nationals has kind of brought it on board. I think they see it as, something that
Good.
that
Yeah,
they promote. I know they promote it. So, yeah.
yeah. Because I know our division commander here in Florida and our division adjutant promote it.
I know a
I
lot of states are jumping on board and promoting the program.
Yeah,
So, which I think is just what Tom would just be ecstatic. He would be so proud, that so many people are putting, you know, are doing the program, and they're going with it, and it's wonderful,
all right. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it, it's a great tool. Not only that, it's community service. You're
right?
out there, the community sees you, stops by and talks to you. Hell, you never know. You may have a new member.
Oh, well, we've actually got members from Cleaning Stones, in the cemetery. We've actually recruited in cemeteries. People were, we when we went to Beauvoir, we had people from South Carolina and people from Alabama that came to Tom's talk, and clean stones down there, and they were like historical society members, and people that preserve stones, and
Yeah.
they went to his program, and they were like, you're spot on. That is exactly what you do. And and then they go back and they tell their people how to do it, and then it's just grown everywhere. I mean, people
Oh
are just
yeah.
so excited about it.
Yeah, because yeah, and I've seen out there where people just use D2, which is great,
which
but
is great.
this is my opinion now. It doesn't really justify it without using the orifice.
Right. Well, when you just do D2, I mean, if you have a stone that's sugaring, or if you have a stone that when you use, a brush, you're getting grit, you really, I mean, you can wrap that stone with a towel maybe and pull off some of the lichen and plant matter or whatever. But really, that's when you want to just use the D2, because
Okay.
you don't want to destroy anything about that stone, and if you use even a soft bristle, if it's sugaring, you're going to take a layer of that stone off. So that's not something you want to do. So you just want to kind of just rinse it, let it, maybe wrap a towel around it and pull off the lichen, and then just spray it with D2. The D2 will clean it, but it takes a lot, and D2 is expensive. It's like $50 a gallon,
Oh yeah.
and it's very expensive. Orvis is $35 a gallon, uh, or 2 quarts, I think, half gallon,
Yeah.
and it lasts forever. I mean, you can use. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on, because it's concentrated. And you just use a little bit. I mean, it's a horse.
Uh, should be back.
Okay, sorry. It's like a horse shampoo, so it's very soft, and it's a natural, shampoo, and it's very easy and gentle on the stones.
Hmm.
And it's highly recommended, So
Yeah, because you know, like if I get in that situation where it's real gritty and all that, yeah, that's good to know. Just to use D2,
right.
because I I've seen different processes out there, but using the orifice and the D2 really justifies it.
It really does, and it's amazing what you can clean off with that Orvis, and it almost seems like it cleans it better, for I can't I don't know how to describe it, but it really does work a lot quicker and a lot better, and it's a lot cheaper, and to me, if you're raising funds to clean these cemeteries and stuff, you want to use the best process, and if you can do it cheaper, do it, because then you can clean more stones.
Oh
You know what I'm saying? You can make that product last longer by using the D2. That D2 really works. It really does. You can tell a huge difference with the D2. I
yeah.
mean, not I'm talking Orvis. Orvis. The
Yeah.
Orvis works. Orvis, Orvis, Orvis. I'm sorry, I was saying D2, and I was meaning to say Orvis.
Now, when did Tom and Billy, including yourself and Katie, all decide on D2? Now, was there any other products before D2 that you tried out?
Well, some people have used the wet and forget,
Yeah.
but the wet and forget, it changes solutions. They've never been able to really give us a product data sheet that says this is what's in it. You know what I mean? Because it changes, and it'll leave like a white substance. So some really afraid that they're using bleach in that. So we don't use the wet and forget, because if they could come up with a data sheet and just tell us exactly what's in that, then maybe. And I know the conservatory for cemetery, what is it called? I can't. um they've started using the wet and forget, I think. But we, until a data sheet comes out and that they're consistent with that product, D2 does better. It just does better.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's gentle on the stone, and it's proven. It's a proven, and we have data sheets on that D2 biological solution. So we know exactly what's in that, and we know that that's not going to destroy, it's going to preserve our stones, And I'm not sure, but I think Wet and Forget might even have like a sealant in it. And you don't want to seal a stone because you're going to get cracking if it
Yeah, not only
freezes.
that, Wet and Forget, I was looking at the label and it's limited on what stones that
Right.
you can clean it with.
Right. So, D2, you can use it. You can use granite. You can use, any of
Marble, everything.
all marble, sandstone, all of that you can, use D2 on, but not Wet and Forget. Wet and Forget, you got to be real careful with Wet and Forget. So instead of saying, but Tom, BJ Dawson is the one who taught us how to clean that stone, and he used the Orvis and the D2, and we just went with it, and it works. It really works.
Oh, yeah.
You can go back in a couple of weeks and you can just see the difference, you
Yeah,
know.
because that's the thing. David King told me. He goes, don't be alert. In the next couple weeks, the stone's gonna change color.
Right.
I'm like, how the heck is this gonna happen?
Uh-huh.
Until the cemetery that I do, until I saw it on the stones there, because I went back. I was going back every 2 weeks to check progress, and I see what you and him was talking about, what the stones do turn color.
Well, that D2 seeps into the stone, and it is killing all the lichen and all the plant matter that is deep in that stone. So when you spray that biological solution on the stone after you cleaned it, it's literally soaking into that stone. And then you kind of want it to rain because the rain gets that solution deep in the stone, and it works its way from the outside in, from the inside out,
Yeah,
and so it kills all the plant matter, all those lichens, all that yucky stuff that's seeped into those stones, and that's, destroying the stones.
right.
So if you clean it and it looks all pretty and you spray D2 and it turns orange, that's good because it's getting the rest of the stuff that you can't see. It's killing that.
Now, yeah, because one stone that I've cleaned personally, I've seen it turn the orange, but I've also seen it turn purple.
Yes, I have also seen that too. Yeah. And don't worry. I mean, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I've destroyed a stone, but you want it, you're not destroying it. Couple weeks and couple storms and some sunshine, and it's going to make that stone look beautiful.
Yeah, especially for us here in Florida. Here in the next couple months, it's going to be a rainy season.
Right, right. So if you can find, and also, don't, a lot of people will go out there with cold water and on a really hot day. You can actually crack a stone that way.
Good.
You need it, lukewarm or, at least room temperature. Don't ever go out with real cold water and on a hot day and throw water on those stones because you could crack them. And the same thing about cold weather. If it's 30 degrees and below, don't clean, if it's not, if you can't clean a stone and it be at least, up in the upper 40s or whatever, you don't want to go in there and clean that because, if that stone doesn't dry out, it's gonna it can crack, it can actually bust the stones. So, you can freeze those stones, and, with that solution, you don't do it, you know wait, because it's better to wait, because preserve, protect, and do no harm. That's Tom's motto: preserve, protect, do no harm. So yeah.
So, other than that, Dottie, thank you. Is there anything coming out of the Tennessee OCR?
Oh, the Order of Confederate Rose, we're very busy. We we do memorial services. Our Black Rose Society is really grown. We've, thanks to Timothy, Rich's wife, Timothy Garcia. She has really grown our program, our Black Rose program. Any memorial services, we bring the black roses in. We'll sing a song or say a prayer or whatever. We assist the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Now we're having our the Sons of Confederate Veterans in Tennessee is having their reunion on April 1st,
Mhm.
and we assist them. We're going to buy their breakfast that morning. We will give them some kind of ditty bag that has like waters and that kind of stuff, and and then anything that they need, any banquets, any of that kind of stuff that they need our assistance with, we're right there helping them. We're not there to tell them what to do. We're not there to share monies with them or anything like that, but everything we do, we assist them with it. We ask first. We always ask first. We ask permission, to speak. We're very, very humble when it comes to, we want to respect the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and we want to assist them in anything that they do. And we're right there. If they want us to be there, we're there.
Yeah, because you guys were all over the place at the reinterment.
Exactly.
Uh, you were a speaker there, the Black Roses, and
Right.
I know a few ladies from down here with the Florida OCR were there with the Black Roses.
Right. Right. And we'll do anything they ask us. I mean, we'll raise money. We will do memorial services, like I said. We will help them with banquets, anything. I mean, Timothy, she's always on, helping Rich with her programs, and
And she's in the chat too. She said hi.
I did. Yeah, she's wonderful. She is great. She's fantastic. I
That's
love her.
good.
She
That's
and
good
Rich,
to
they're
know.
my neighbors. They actually live right down the street. I mean, literally right down the hill from me. So, yep.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, I have Dottie. Does anybody have any questions pertaining to CERT? Jim, I know you well enough. You usually have questions. Now, well, people are thinking, keep in mind, next month is Confederate Memorial Month. So if you have a celebration, a memorial service, please send it into the chat so I can get the word out for you, and hopefully you get more people to attend your shindig.
good to know.
Yeah. Ready. Jim, you're speechless tonight? So, what, yeah, between you, Katie, Billy, what's the going forward, the plan with the CERT program? You have any other divisions that uh, have hit you up about coming in introducing it to them?
Well, I know Kentucky, Arkansas, um, Texas, of course. Florida is just on fire. Florida's on fire. South Carolina, there's been some talk and wanting the program in South Carolina. Virginia, like I said, I'm going to teach a program or teach the class to the Order of Confederate Rose. The state president has contacted me, and I'm going down there in May to do that. um, just about every state in the Confederation has shown interest, or they've had people to come and and give them classes and stuff. It's 8 hours,
Yeah,
basically. 8 hours. You get a little card, and then you can turn around and teach. You
yeah,
know the process. But the reason Tom said 8 hours is because in 8 hours you know what to do once you have that first hour of class, and then you go and you start cleaning those stones. After 8 hours, you know exactly what to do, and you can teach it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, a lot. There's everybody that calls. We try our best to go and send someone to teach the class. So
Right.
um, somehow,
Yeah.
somehow we can, So I just started working this year, and it's a little bit harder on me now because I'm not as free as I used to be. So
Right. Hey,
yeah.
Dylan, welcome to the chat. Tell Leon I said hi. Okay, Jim Godell out of South Florida Confederate Memorial Motorcade, 12th and 14th Brigade in West Palm Beach will honor 175 Confederate veterans in one day with a new one for Captain Henderson in Jim, I'm not going to pronounce it because I know I'm going to screw it up. Oh, 8 hour day. Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Cool, Dylan. Well, is there any cemetery in Tennessee that you have not visited yet?
Oh wow, there's a lot of cemeteries in Tennessee.
Yep.
One of the things that Tom, before he died, was really wanting to had thought about, had talked about. I don't know if he talked to any of the UDC members or not about this, but there's a cemetery in Franklin, the Carter Cemetery,
Yeah.
and each of those stones is like a block.
Yeah.
And he had talked about possibly talking to the UDC and getting permission to go in there and clean up that cemetery. That cemetery, when you go in there, I mean, it hasn't, a lot of those stones have not been cleaned. I mean, most of those stones have not been cleaned. And before he died, that was something that he was going to work on. Um, so there are several cemeteries in Tennessee. Um, and there are several members who have started cleaning, the stones. Billy Walker does the Chattanooga Cemetery,
Yeah.
and he has that in pristine condition now. There was I wish I had a picture of it, but there's an angel that was completely black, and he spent a lot of time, and that angel is completely white now. I mean, it's so beautiful. And Billy just, I mean, he just has an eye for detail, and he just, anywhere that the solution wasn't getting into, he just literally, worked on that area. And this stone, I mean, looks like it came out of, it's brand new,
Yeah.
and beautiful. But Billy and Katie, that's what they do. I mean, they have the Chattanooga Cemetery. It's gorgeous, and they've worked very, very hard to clean that up. Here in Gainesboro, the OCR and um, the Invincibles, the Gainesboro Invincibles, we've kind of adopted the Gainesboro Cemetery. So we've been going on days that it's warm or whatever, and we'll do 2 or 3 stones at a time. And eventually, that whole cemetery is going to be clean. And I've talked to the mayor. The mayor's actually my minister, and he's the mayor.
Cool.
And I've actually talked to him, and we're going to have a ceremony, a memorial service, after that cemetery is cleaned up. And, that's a great thing to get in papers. People see us out there, see that we're not the evil people that, the press has said we are,
Yeah.
and they see us honoring our ancestors and memorializing them and cleaning, the cemeteries and taking care of them, you know. So we're doing that. There's a cemetery in Nashville that Tom had talked about going down, getting permission to clean. Um, I can't think of the name of it, but it was attacked, literally attacked. The Confederate memorial was attacked in that cemetery. And Tom and I drove up from Spring Hill. We were living in Spring Hill at that time, and we drove up, and someone went in with bleach, and bleach, or was it uh, a power washer, and they almost destroyed that stone. So, he had talked about going in and cleaning, you know, that cemetery up, and protecting all of the Confederate stones in that cemetery. And I think maybe there might be a camp that's doing that now. So the Lebanon Cemetery, um, we have a General Robert Hatton, and he's buried in the Lebanon Cemetery in Lebanon, Tennessee. And that camp has adopted that cemetery, and there's close to 200 or 300 stones in that cemetery. They've got a Confederate circle, and we have literally went in with a boon and got up to the tippity top, and we've scrubbed that with the Orbis, and they've rinsed it real well, and they've put the D2 on there, and they've got that cemetery. I mean, they go in and do 10 or 12 stones at a time, and they're slowly getting that cemetery cleaned up. So there are several cemeteries out west in on Western Tennessee.
Yeah.
Wayne Moon, he's got a lot of camps out in that area. He's taught several camps how to do the no harm method, and so they've got several cemeteries there that are cleaning.
Now, your good friend asked this, Mrs. Garcia, is there a yearly maintenance? Uh,
Procedure
yes.
to keep the stones clean.
Yep.
Once you clean the stones, just every 6 months or 9 months or whatever, just go and spray it with D2, and it keeps the stones clean. Yes. So yeah, Timothy, there really is a yearly maintenance. If once you clean it, it's not going to stay clean forever.
Right.
You've got the elements. You've got people with the weed eaters throwing plant matter up on those stones. You've got the weather coming in, and storms and all that kind of stuff, and leaves and trees and all that. So once you do clean the stones, hit them every 6 months or every 9 months or once a year even, and
Okay.
and you will continue to keep those stones clean. Absolutely. Thank you, Timothy.
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Very good question.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not just clean it one time and forget about it unless it gets dirty. So you just want to keep the
Right.
D2 fresh on there.
Right. You just want to check them once a year or whatever, and see what you can do. I have Confederate ancestors in North Carolina, and we've cleaned their stones, and I go down once a year and I spray them with the D2, just to keep them clean. And they were in horrible shape, horrible shape. And now, they're readable and they're beautiful.
Now, good question, Jim. What product, say if you have a headstone that is broken, what product would be good as you're trying to repair the stone, trying to get back up? And
That is something Tom had talked about, but of course he died before it could come in fruition.
yeah.
Fruition. He had talked about learning how to raise the stones and get them back up. I know BJ Dawson, he does that,
Okay.
and he uses an epoxy, I think, and there is a procedure on how to repair the stones. um if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. I have a Confederate grandfather. Uh, he's my third great grandfather, and he was a Confederate. And the my grandfather and my grandmother had twin stones, and they were beautiful. In the 80s, somebody came in and broke the a kid kids came in and broke those stones,
Hmm.
And I had talked about getting them fixed. And I didn't know about it in the 80s, but when I found out about it in the 2000s, I had talked about getting it fixed. And we were literally going to go down and fix it. Before I could get it fixed, one of my cousins went in with cement and put it together with cement, put both of those stones together with cement and ruined those stones. They can never be fixed. Literally ruined those stones. Where if he would have just waited and let me come down, because I live in Tennessee, those
Yeah.
stones are in North Carolina. If he'd have let me come down and get someone who knew what they were doing to set those stones up and use the epoxy the right way, we could have preserved those stones. But now they put cement in there and they're ruined forever.
Right.
So if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. Literally, don't touch it if you don't know what you're doing, because you'll do more harm and you could actually permanently destroy your ancestors' stones.
Hmm. Now, touch on a subject that you were just talking about, permission. Have you or anybody that you know of gone in a cemetery, not had the permission from the cemetery, but had permission from the individual?
Yeah, I mean, if you know a descendant who, like, that's my grandfather and I want you to clean that stone,
Yeah.
that's permission, you know.
Right.
But don't go in there and clean everybody's stone, only clean the one that you have permission for,
Yeah.
because they might not want that stone cleaned. And, it could cause problems. And it's good PR. Get permission first.
Yeah.
Be respectful of the family, be respectful of the people that actually own the cemetery. And it goes a long way. 99% of the time they're going to give you permission if they know that you're going to clean up those stones,
Yeah.
and they're going to give you permission to do it. But,
Oh yeah.
don't go in there and and start cleaning or whatever, cuz what if a stone falls and breaks, or what if they don't want it done, then you've got yourself into, issues. You've got
Ex-
issues now.
yeah. And
Yeah.
especially with here in Florida, we have a lot of laws and stuff to protect cemeteries.
Right. So if you go in there and you do something without permission, for instance, I know someone that went down in Georgia, and they raised the money, they raised the funds to clean this Confederate cemetery.
Yeah.
And he went in without permission and he started cleaning it. Well, the owners found out about it and they did not want him in there. They didn't understand what he was doing and they didn't want him in there. And so the police knocked on his door, and they he had an order to not go on that cemetery, in the cemetery grounds. Now, it was kind of sad because they still haven't cleaned that cemetery up, you know, but that was their choice. It was their cemetery
Yeah.
and they didn't want him in there. So the police came to his door and knocked and gave him a cease and desist order. Do not go back in that cemetery. And he had all this product and raised all this money, and now what do you do, you
Yeah.
know so
Exactly. And that's the main thing. I mean, just like you said, you want to be respectful. You want to get that permission.
right.
A good friend of mine and Mark Bass, Mark hasn't joined the chat yet. He probably will later. Contacted Mark, and her Confederate ancestor is over by me. So Mark called me. I went in there, located it. Called the lady up. Hey, I located it. It looks dingy. You want me to clean it? She goes, go for it.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I probably don't have the permission from the cemetery, but you're the descendant. I have your permission to clean your
And
stone.
that's their stone. You know,
Yeah,
their family has paid for that plot, and they can give you permission to
yeah,
clean that spot. Yes, that plot, that area.
yep.
So yeah, the cemetery can't keep the family from doing whatever they want once they buy that plot. You know, that's their plot of land.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it gets tricky, I guess, because the cemetery owns, the city owns the cemetery, or
Right.
a family might own the cemetery, but the person that has bought the plot owns that plot of land, so they can give you, if they're a descendant, if that's my grandmother, I can say you can go in there and clean that stone because that's my grandmother.
Yeah.
That I am a descendant of them. So
Have you had any problems or know of anybody that's had problems going to clean their distant relatives' headstone? It might not be a direct line, but
I don't know anyone. I mean, you
I'm
never
just curious.
yeah, you never know. I know there's a cemetery in West Virginia. I am a like 12th generation West Virginian,
Yeah,
and you can go into one cemetery, and I have five grandfathers and grandmothers in that one cemetery, you
yeah.
know, and there's a cemetery. I grew up in a holler, Hackers Creek Holler, and there's a cemetery at the end of the holler that the founding people who settled that area are in that cemetery, and I have literally grandparents that are in that cemetery, and they have gone in and they have cleaned it with the D2. They've done the Orvis. They have mowed that cemetery. They actually took over that cemetery. There was a church there. It burned to the ground, and then Mary's Chapel, which is over the hill, which was where I was raised in that church, took over that cemetery and also had a cemetery out back. And they went in, the people that went in and took over this cemetery didn't know who owned it, but they took over the cemetery and they started cleaning it and stuff, and finally they realized that is the one who the church actually owned both of the cemeteries, and they didn't even know they owned that cemetery. So it could have been a problem, but it wasn't. They went in, they cleaned it, and they still take care of that. And I've got grandparents and relatives that actually are in that cemetery.
Yeah. Yeah, because somebody asked me the other day, Sean, you love cemeteries so much. How come? Simple question is my grandfather's sister, my great aunt, she's in her 90s. She was taking care of my direct line cemetery that sits on Ohio and Pennsylvania state line. I mean, going
Right.
back to the Revolution War, I have an ancestor in there. It all started with her.
Right.
And yeah, do I live up there? No, I live down here in the Glades, but I still carry on her tradition on
Right.
a cemetery that's over here that was forgotten for a very long time.
Once you start, it gets in your blood, you
Oh,
know. Once you start cleaning, once and there's always a story. You can do research and you can usually find a story or find a descendant who may have known, or whatever. And it's so much fun just to go in and these are our these are the people that founded this country, that they fought in battles,
yeah,
for independence, and they fought against tyranny. The South, they fought against tyranny. They fought to preserve, you know, to preserve their right for freedom,
Mhm.
and we need to honor them. We need to make sure that our founding fathers, that our Southern boys are taken care of still to this day. We
Yep,
can't forget about them. We can't forget about them.
you're correct. Because I'm looking forward to this national reunion, but the one after there. Because I'm taking I'm gonna try to take a week and a half off from work because I'm gonna go to uh, family cemetery there in Anderson, South Carolina.
Oh wow.
I'm planning on hitting up that camp commander, see if he wants to come and join me. That way I can teach them.
Right. And that's really cool because you can be at a national reunion and teach, and then they can, what better way to get that program going, is to teach at a national reunion. Hey
Yeah,
guys, we're going to go out on, I don't know, Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon, and we're going to clean some stones in the cemetery.
yeah.
We'll teach you how to do that, and we'll teach you the proper way. And then they, once you get that fever, you've got the fever. Yeah, you have it. Like you just want to go and clean everything. So
Well, yeah, because a good friend of mine in the chat, Jeffro, how drive by something that's stone related? Hey, that needs D2.
that's right. I mean, you could clean your driveway with this stuff. You can spray your showers with this stuff. I mean, this stuff is wonderful stuff.
Yeah, because I recommended it to somebody a year ago because they were looking for something to clean marble with, and I recommended the D2.
Right.
They hit me up a couple months ago and said that was a great recommendation. It came out looking pretty.
Awesome. That's right. This stuff is really, really good on stone. I mean, it's fantastic. Gets rid of mold, mildew, it gets rid of all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's a great product. So, it's, and it brings communities together. It brings people together. Um, you know, One of the greatest things is to go and have a camp go out on a Saturday morning and clean stones, and we literally have picnics in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, we'll break out the sandwiches and the brownies, and it's a lot of fun, break out those chairs after you've cleaned, 4 or 5 stones, and and it really brings you together as a unit. I mean, it really does. It's a
Delin,
bond.
good question. I've not seen it back on Amazon yet, but Dottie gave me this just a little bit ago. Dottie, if you want to talk about Atlas preservation.
Yeah, Atlas Preservation is actually a company in Connecticut, and they sell the D2. And I we have looked everywhere. Atlas Preservation has the best prices on D2. Now, if you get the Orvis, go to Tractor Supply and get your Orvis, because you're going to spend about $10 more on shipping and everything else to get your Orvis. But Atlas Preservation, the more you buy, the more D2 you buy, the cheaper the product is. And Atlas Preservation, if you put my name in the coupon code Dottie Space Meadows, you get 10% off.
Ooh.
So they'll give you 10% off that. You're basically saving 10%. You're saving the tax pretty much. But that's a savings. And the more you buy, the cheaper the product. I mean, if you just buy a gallon, you're going to spend about $48 to $50 on a gallon of D2 shipped. But the more you buy, the cheaper. I mean, it's like 174 for 2 gallon. And it just, I mean, not two gallon, but for 4 gallon, so it gets cheaper if you buy more product. And Atlas Preservation, we called them. We told them that Tennessee was on board, that we were cleaning stones, and they were like, "Here, take this code, And Tom said, they said, what code would you want? And Tom said, use my wife's name because then I'll never forget the code. So that's what he did. So so anyway, I tell everybody, use my name. That was something cute that my husband did before he died. And get your 10% off and atlaspreservation.com. Go in there. They have scrapers. They have everything you need. They have the elephant snot for the graffiti. They have the shadow max for the graffiti. They have brushes. They have bucket. They have everything. But the D2, that is the best price I've found anywhere. And we did a lot of research trying to find cheap D2, and that was the best.
Now, here's a question because, when I was doing research on D2, do you know anybody that bought it by the drum yet?
Absolutely. We had there 5 some who was it? BJ, I think, bought 10 or 20 gallon. Like,
No,
yeah,
this is an actual drum of it, and I I saw it on their website, and it was thousands and thousands of dollars, but it
man,
was
no, I don't know anybody who's done that. Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
no, 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 no.
curious.
I'm talking like the big, like the 4 gallons and the
Yeah.
10 gallons. I know I had one of those big 5 gallon ones. I couldn't lift it, but I had one of those that we bought, because the price gets cheaper. I mean, you're basically getting a couple gallons for free once you know, buy 5 or 6 gallons. So
Delenn, I did. Yeah, I took that link off. There's her name. Yep, yep, for the coupon, Dylan.
yep, Dottie Space Meadows, 10% off.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
Jim,
that's
I know you asked that question when I came over there to your camp. So,
yeah. I mean, if you find a cheaper place, please let me know. But Tom and I we went crazy trying to find this D2, and they're really good people, and they're in Connecticut. I mean, they're Yankees, but they're really good. They'll work with you and stuff. So I've literally talked to the owners, and they're great people. Are you there?
yeah, I'm here. I'm just getting this uh, for some of the members in the chat.
Okay.
There you go, Delenn. Hopefully that helps you out. Delenn's a very good friend of mine. She's with the Arcadia OCR.
Okay. Awesome. She's a sister then.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah, we got a few sisters in the chat. We got Linda, Delenn, Tammy. If I missed somebody, please shout out. So we got quite a bit of the OCR sisters in the chat, and I know
Awesome.
some of them will watch this on YouTube later.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Alrighty, we've been going at this for an hour. Does anybody have any questions for Dottie? Well, any more questions? Feel free to ask them now. Yes, Jim, you are a thorn just like me. So, Dottie, I want to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you so
Uh,
much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
well, I know, Delenn, I'll PM you that link as soon as I get a chance. Dottie, I just want to say thank you for coming on the chat and carrying on Tom's memory.
Thank you so much. And I think he's just smiling up there, watching over me, smiling, and he's I can just see how proud he would be of everybody who has just taken this program and just went with it. Yeah. He's I can see him right now just grinning from ear to ear.
Oh, I bet he is too. Yeah, because the chat heads are the ones that were been asking questions about certain. I'm like, oh, just get it from the horse's mouth.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate coming on and you asking me to come on. And if if anybody ever has any questions or whatever, you know, if I can help in any way, I'll come and teach a class. I'll, whatever I can do to keep this program going, because it was so um he was very passionate about it, and it was important to him. And if it was important to him, then it was important to me.
Yeah.
So, anything I can do, if y'all have problems with whatever, let me know. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer, or I'll try my best to.
Yep. Did have a question come up. Are you able to see that, Dottie?
Am I close to McMinnville? Yes, I am. I could come to McMinnville. I absolutely can.
Well, Delyn has friends there. That's why she was wondering.
Oh, okay. Well, Delyn, if you come to McMinnville, let me know, and I'll come down and have lunch with you or whatever. Or we'll go clean a stone.
Come on, see, Delyn, we'll put you to work.
There you go. I'm sure I could find permission from somewhere down there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, this has been a great show, Dottie. Just want to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and hopefully everybody had their questions answered. So with that, next show we're gonna get caught up with what's going on throughout the Florida division. Different events and that coming up on the on next Tuesday. Remember, our shows are normally Tuesday, but the past two episodes I made adjustment for our guest. Oh, good to know, Rich. Yeah, Rich has been on the chat. If you have a camp project, brigade or division project, please send it to me. That way I can get the word out and get you more people showing up to your event. With that being said, thank you all for joining me tonight and Dottie. We're going to end the show with Faces of the SCV and Stay Southerner. Don't let the idiots grind you down, the ones on the road right now. If you're over Florida, you know the ones I'm talking about. Dottie, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
I'll be looking forward to seeing you in Arkansas.
I'm going to meet you in person. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. My father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up, or we would have done something then. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive.
The Sons of Confederate Veterans is the direct heir of the United Confederate Veterans and the oldest hereditary organization for male descendants of Confederate soldiers. Organized at Richmond, Virginia in 1896, the SCV continues to serve as a historical, patriotic, and non-political organization dedicated to ensuring that a true history of the 1861 to 1865 period is preserved. Membership in the SCV is open to all male descendants of any veteran who served honorably in the Confederate Armed Forces.
It is my birthright. My ancestors fought and bled and died. Because of their sacrifice, it gives me not only the eligibility to join, but it's my duty to join the organization. Their blood flows through my veins. Their struggles and triumphs are what made my family what it was, and in a sense made me who I am today. We're to defend the Confederate soldier's good name, that he fought for a noble cause, that he fought for his home, his wife, his children, and his descendants. We're to guard his history, which to me, it's the monuments, it's the headstones, as well as the actual written history of what happened during that war.
The citizen soldiers who fought for the Confederacy personified the best qualities of America. The preservation of liberty and freedom was the motivating factor in the South's decision to fight the Second American Revolution. The tenacity with which the Confederate soldiers fought underscored their belief in the rights guaranteed by the Constitution. These attributes are the underpinning of our democratic society and represent the foundation on which this nation was built. Today, the Sons of Confederate Veterans is preserving the history and legacy of these heroes, so future generations can understand the motives that gave life to the Southern cause.
We need to draw the line in the sand right now. These are our Confederate monuments. These are our Southern heroes, and you're not going to take them down. Right now, if we do not protect our heritage and present it as it truly was, it's going to be lost forever.
The memory and reputation of the Confederate soldier, as well as the motives for his suffering and sacrifice, are being purposely distorted in an attempt to alter history. And unless the descendants of Southern soldiers resist those efforts, a unique part of our nation's cultural heritage will cease to exist.
My commitment to the SCV is a commitment to our heritage, our cause. Not in a violent way, nor an aggressive way. Simply in the way we live. Live what you believe. But in your defense, know in what you're defending. And defend it truthfully.
If you were interested in perpetuating the ideals that motivated your Confederate ancestor, the SCV needs you. Simply visit www.scv.org today. Our genealogists are ready to help you trace your Confederate heritage.
We're not just some history club. We are a fraternal organization who is essentially the last guardians whose duty it is to defend American and Southern history.
Thank you all. Have a good night.